أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن السمع والبصر والفؤاد كل ذلك كان عنه مسؤولا وقال الله تبارك وتعالى إن النفس لأمارة بالسوء إلا ما رحم ربي وقال الله تبارك وتعالى لا أقسم بالنفس اللوامة وقال الله تبارك وتعالى ونفس وما سواها وقال عز وجل فألهمها فجورها وتقواها وقال عز وجل قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها وقال عز وجل يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي وقال عز وجل يسألونك عن الروح قل الروح من أمر ربي وقال عز وجل ويعلم السر وما أخفى وقال في مقام آخر إني خالق بشرا من صلصال من حمأ مسنون وقال فإذا سويته ونفخت فيه من روحي فقعوا له ساجدين صدق اللہ مولانا العظیم. Respected shuyukh of ilm and all of my brothers and sisters, we are going to have a dars of Masnavi of Maulana Ruh radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. You know, I said radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, I uttered these words with Maulana Ruh, whereas he is not a companion, he is a saint, one of the great Sufis and great saints of Ummah. And when we say radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, you should keep in your mind that there is an ijma of ulama and fuqaha and muhaddiseen and a'imma, ijma. There is no dispute among ahlul ilm that radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, these words, that Almighty Allah may be pleased with him, these words are allowed to be used for all blessed and pious people in the Ummah of Holy Prophet till the day of judgment. It is not just specified for the companions. There was no dispute on this subject among the scholars. But unfortunately in our days, because of lack of knowledge, lack of proper comprehension and lack of proper understanding, some people, because of their ignorance, lack of knowledge, they just create some difference of opinion on this issue for nothing. And this view is based on the text of Holy Quran, whereby Almighty Allah says, radiyallahu anhum wa radu anhu. And this is applied for all mu'mineen up to the day of judgment. So we are going to have a dars of Masnavi today. And I have recited some selected verses of Holy Quran in respect of the subject which I keep in my mind that we would be discussing in our dars. I would like to give some preliminary and introductory talk on the subject before we start with the dars of Masnavi, so that whatever we are going to discuss in Maulana Rumi's language, let us understand the basics and fundamentals of those mystic philosophies and mystic teachings, Sufi teachings, and those Sufi messages which Maulana Rum has given to us through his Masnavi. I will start from his first volume from beginning, but selected verses. So before we start with the dars or with his text, I prefer to explain certain basic and fundamental realities which will be dealt with the dars. Then I start my talk with tawfiq of Almighty Allah from the verses which I have recited. When Almighty Allah decided to start the human history on this earth, on this planet, and He wanted to build a city of human body, city known as human body, because there are many inhabitants who are living in this city of human body. Human body is a city. Like other cities on this world, there are thousands and millions of people living in that city. In the same way, in the city of human body, there are many inhabitants living in here. When Almighty Allah decided to construct this city, He said, Inni khaliqum basharam min salsalim min hamaim masnoon. So I am saying that this human body which was declared bashar, that was made with clay, with mud, which included water, and effects of sun and fire, certain elements, there were certain ingredients and constituent elements which constituted this whole city. Then Almighty Allah, after building this city, decided to establish a government of the city. And He decided to appoint someone as the ruler of this city. City, I mean again, human body. And that ruler must be his deputy, Allah's deputy, Allah's vicegerent, his Khalifa. إذ قال ربك للملائكة إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة. So he decided to send his deputy, his naib, his vicegerent, his khalifa in this city, and who would rule, who would govern, and who would be the head of the whole government of this city. This deputy, this body having animalistic ingredients, this body is not the deputy of Almighty Allah. This is just a city which has been built, which is to be governed, which is to be ruled by his deputy, his Khalifa. And that Khalifa, which was sent to rule the city, is known as Ruh, the spirit. And Almighty Allah stated, فَإِذَا سَوَّيْتُهُ, when I will complete its construction, the whole city of the body would be built up. وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي, then I will send my ruh as deputy into this city. فَقَعُوا لَهُ سَاجِدِينَ, and he asked the angel, when my deputy comes into this city and takes over the charge and comes into power and takes over the charge of the city as the ruler, so my deputy has two capacities. In my connection, he is my deputy, my representative. And in its own capacity, being in the city of body, he is the ruler, king of the city. So Almighty Allah commanded the angels, when I will send my deputy as the ruler of the body, and my deputy, the ruler, will come into the city, then you have to prostrate. فَقَوْا لَهُ سَاجِدِينَ. So this prostration and sujood was not for the city, was not for the bashar, was not for the animalistic body, was not for the dust, was not for the clay. This sujood and prostration was for the ruh, the deputy sent by Almighty Allah. The angels were asked to show their reverence, respect for his ruh. So when the ruh, the spirit, was made the ruler of the city of this body, so whenever a ruler is appointed, so always a capital for their city is needed, which becomes the seat of the ruler. It becomes the seat of the king, or a palace, a president house, a prime minister house, a house and the palace for the king, for the ruler, for the head, is always needed, which should be known as seat of the ruler. This is, as London is the capital of the UK, and here is a palace for the king, for the queen. Here is a house and residing place for the head. So heart was made the capital of that city. Heart was made the capital of that city. So heart became the center of that city. Center means capital. That's why, since the heart was made the capital and the center and the seat of his deputy, it was made the palace. And that's why Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam stated, Inna Allah la yanzuru ila amalikum. Inna Allah la yanzuru ila suwarikum wala ila amalikum. Walakin yanzuru ila qulubikum wa niyatikum. That Allah, the Lord, looks neither at you nor at your deeds. He just look at your hearts and whatever is hidden in your hearts. The reason is that his deputy resides in the heart. That is his seat. Then Almighty Allah made this spirit his deputy, responsible for governing the whole system of the city. When I speak of heart, I do not refer to this physical heart. I do not refer to this vegetal heart. I do not refer to this piece of meat. I refer to the spiritual heart. And that heart has been placed in the heart. Otherwise, this piece of meat, the vegetal heart, the physical heart, itself does not possess all those qualities and characteristics which have been related to it in Holy Quran. When Almighty Allah says, Khatam Allahu ala qulubihim, He does not mean this vegetal heart. When Almighty Allah says, Inna sam'a wal basara wal fu'ada ulaika kana anhu mas'ula, He does not mean this vegetal and physical heart. It has its own function, and that is just purification of blood, circulation of blood. But this heart is not the place of wisdom, is not the place of reasoning, is not the place of understanding, is not the place of genosis, is not the place of vision, is not the place of decision, is not the place of piety. This is not the place of sin. This is not the place of fearing from Almighty Allah. This is not the place of love. This is not the place of nearness to Almighty Allah. All those spiritual qualities and all those spiritual characteristics which have been assigned and which have been related and which have been described in connection of the heart. It means there is another heart which possesses all these qualities and characteristics described by the Holy Quran about him. That heart is the palace. And this heart is the capital city for that palace. This is the place for that heart. And the king lives in that palace. Because Almighty Allah, if you take away all these spiritual qualities and characteristics and understanding and vision and piety and all these spiritual characteristics and qualities, if you take away from this heart and this body just becomes an animal. That's why in logic it is stated as Havan and Natik. It's become an animal. There is something which differentiates between this animalistic entity from humanistic entity. There is something which makes this animal a human being. And this heart, being the capital of the city, that heart, particular heart, all secrets which were given Almighty Allah, the secrets which were given to the king, the Ruh keeps all these secrets in this heart. This heart is a safe for the secret documents of secret divine documents, for secret divine commandments which are revealed. The tanzeel and revelation is on the heart. He comes into the heart. Understanding and differentiation is done through the heart. And of course, medically speaking, this vegetal heart does not possess that characteristic. So all secret documents, the secret commandments which have been revealed, secret orders which have been revealed to the deputy, for the deputy to govern the country, to city, that are kept in the safe of a heart. That heart is a safe also. And the Ruh, the king, is the leader of the whole body. And if the leader goes astray, if the leader is right, for example, then all followers of the leader, they would be right. All companions of the leader would be right. All soldiers of the leader working under his leadership and command, they would be right. And if the leader goes astray, then his companions will go astray. His supporters will go astray. His soldiers, his armies, his followers, everybody will go astray. Then Almighty Allah has taught some secrets to his deputy, and these are the characters, the behaviors, the ideals, the values, the teachings, the commandments, the do's and don'ts according to Sharia, Amr and Nahi. All these commandments to govern the behavior of the body, human body, has been revealed and to the deputy. And the deputy, the Ruh, who used to live in the heavenly company of Almighty Allah, who used to live in Malai A'la, and that Ruh, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ قُلِ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي, from the world of Amr, that Ruh was transferred to this world of Khalq, to this city of body. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ asfala safilin. Since that ruh was transferred here to govern, to rule the body, so certain commandments, certain orders, certain secrets, certain teachings were also given to ruh, revealed to ruh, to create an atmosphere, to create a spiritual atmosphere within the body similar to the atmosphere of Al-Mala ul-A'la, so that the ruh may live there happily, which was cut off from its original company. Because the ruh is crying, the spirit is crying, because the spirit, she has been cut off from its spiritual company, the nearness of Almighty Allah, where the angels used to live, where other spirits used to live, where always the lights of Almighty Allah were showering on them, where they were always praising Almighty Allah, doing tasbih and tahmeed and zikr and ibadah and worship. And the atmosphere where there was no sin, no defiance, no injustice, no act of disobedience, where there was just piety and pious atmosphere. Ruh came out from that particular environment and particular atmosphere and took the charge of the city of the body as the ruler, as the king. And Ruh wants, the spirit wants to get the same atmosphere which she was used to. That's why Almighty Allah sent some commandments to rule the body. If you enforce all these commandments, O Ruh, if you enforce all these commandments, these teachings, and you rule the body in a way that they adopt this behavior which I have revealed to you, then al-insanul bashari, from inside will look like al-insanul malaki. Al-wujudul bashari will become similar to al-wujudul malaki. The dust will become equal to nur. This will become closer to the same atmosphere which used to exist in Al-Mala'ul A'la. By enforcement of that order. And if due to certain reason that king, the deputy of Almighty Allah, itself becomes disobedient, itself becomes disloyal to the Lord, to Almighty Allah, itself becomes corrupt because of wrong company. Instead of controlling the atmosphere, if this ruh starts being controlled by the atmosphere, if the atmosphere starts controlling it, if the atmosphere starts controlling it, whoever lives around it, in its surrounding, in its atmosphere, if they start controlling the king, controlling the ruh, then it will become corrupt. It will become disloyal to the Lord. It will become disobedient to the Lord. Then it will go astray. It will lose the trust of Almighty Allah in it. When it will become corrupt, its people, they are supposed to be ruled by it, they will also become corrupt. And they will become disloyal to him. And all powers which were entrusted to the ruh they will just corrupt the whole system. Now, for this purpose, certain windows were created in that palace to watch what is happening in the capital, what is going around in the palace. Certain windows have been created, and these are 4 main windows: eyes to see what is happening over there, ears to hear, mouth and nose, and then of course touching hands. These are hawas khamsa. These 5 senses or 4 senses, then they are there to watch the situation. And they work as secret agencies of the king. They keep on sending informations. Eyes keep on sending informations. Ears keep on sending informations. Nose and touching senses keep on sending certain informations. To whom? Who is heading the secret agencies? Who is heading these organs? Who is receiving these secret informations from the senses, from the organs, from the workers? That entity who is heading all these senses, who is heading all this, whole this system and receiving the informations through these secret agencies and putting them into an order, that is known as intellect. That is aql, intellect. And intellect has been appointed as Prime Minister of the king. Aql, intellect, is the Prime Minister and Chief Advisor to the king. So all informations gathered by the senses, because these are the workers. These are secret agencies, secret workers. They collect the perceptions and send to the Prime Minister's office, the Chief Advisor to King, the Chief Advisor's office. These perceptions go there, and these perceptions and basic informations are received by the intellect. And intellect converts these perceptions into conceptions. Now, since there is a government, there is a king, there is a capital palace, there are secret agencies working over there, there is a prime minister, intellect receiving the information. So in every government there is an opposition leader too. There is no government without opposition. Because Almighty Allah has created the government of our body as a democratic government. Democratic government. It is not like the empire. It is not like the dictatorship. This is a democratic government. So he has appointed opposition leader too. An opposition leader is known as Nafs. What is the function of opposition leader? Opposition leader is always trying to get more and more favor, to get more and more support from the members of the parliament, from agencies, from the people. Maximum, he is always busy in getting maximum support so that he may capture the capital, He may become the king, he may take over. Since as an opposition leader, Nafs is always trying to get maximum support within the city government. And it is always busy in trying to establish an atmosphere so that Nafs, opposition leader, may capture the capital, the heart, the center. So from here, a conflict arises between the king and opposition leader, conflict between Ruh and Nafs. And battlefield is heart, the qalb. This is the battlefield. Because both want to get control, to keep exclusive control of the heart. So heart, the capital, is always the battlefield. Whoever captures the capital, he gets the government of the whole country. Whoever gets hold of the capital, it means now he is going to announce his own, my government is established. So he gets hold of the whole country. So here starts the problem with Ruh, and heart has become the battlefield. Ruh, the spirit, because it has come from the spiritual world. The deputy of Almighty Allah, the real ruler, it has its own armies. Pious armies. And Nafs has its own vicious armies. And both forces are fighting with each other in the battlefield of heart to capture the palace, to capture the center. In this particular situation, the Ruh, the king, sends a message to the opposition leader. Why are you fighting with me? Why don't you live in your own limits? Why don't you become cooperative with me so that we may, by working together, we may establish a peace and harmony in the country of body. We may establish a peaceful society. Why don't you cooperate with me? Sends a message through his prime minister, the intellect, the prime minister, the chief advisor to the king, Ruh, goes to the opposition leader, the Nafs, and has continuous meetings, a series of meetings with the opposition leader, the Nafs, frequent meetings with the Nafs. Nafs is a very attractive opposition leader, very attractive. Nafs has many attractions to offer. And Ruh belongs to that world. Whatever Ruh can offer, that is in unseen, that cannot be visualized, that cannot be perceived, that cannot be easily conceived. Whatever Ruh the king offers, he offers and promises the things which at present are in unseen. And whatever the opposition leader, the Nafs, offers, everything which he offers is readily available. So with these frequent meetings and sittings with the Nafs, the prime minister and chief advisor of the king is also detract. and the intellect is also deceived and falls a prey to nafs. And intellect is also influenced by nafs. When intellect, the prime minister, the head of the organizing departments, is captured by the nafs, is influenced by the nafs, is controlled by the nafs, is detract from the right path and becomes a friend of nafs and starts deceiving the Ruh, the king, and becomes disloyal to the king. So since that day, all secret agencies and working and government departments which were working under the Prime Minister, they also get a message from Prime Minister to support the nafs, not to support the Ruh. Because now the chief advisor is with the opposition leader. So all departments which were working under him will also support him. So one by one are leaving the king, the Ruh, and gradually one by one all are going towards the side of nafs. And the Ruh, the king, is becoming isolated in this whole country. It is becoming isolated. A rebellion has taken place. A revolt has taken place. The Ruh has started crying and screaming. Has started crying and screaming. There is nobody to assist him. There is nobody to work with him. There is nobody to understand him. There is nobody to talk with him. There is nobody to work with him. The whole battlefield has gone to the opposition side. And since intellect is captured and influenced, so the center, capital seat, is also captured by the nafs. Heart also becomes under influence of nafs. When this whole incident takes place and the Ruh feels itself isolated in this world, then Ruh starts crying. Ruh starts crying. And this is the point where Maulana Rumi starts. Vishnu azne chuhi kayat mi kunad was judai ha shikayat mi kunad. We will come to this part. We will start it. What Maulana Rumi has said. His first verse is, listen to Ruh, why is she crying? Maulana Rumi has not explained the whole story. He has just started from here. Listen to Ruh, why the Ruh is crying. I wanted to give you the background to make you understand what is the language of Sufiya and Awliya. When the Ruh feels isolated in this world, she screams, she is screaming, she is crying. Now summarizing the whole thing, now I am summarizing the whole story in a bit different way, but the same thing. I want to give you the summary. All these senses in our body. They are the workers of this government. All organs, the eyes are the workers. Ears are workers. Tongue is a worker. Hands are the workers. Belly, feet, sexual organs, all these organs of our body are the workers. And they have been entrusted with specific functions. They have been bestowed with specific functions. These are the functionaries of the government. Functionaries. But the functionaries and workers can't work on their own. There should be some guardian on them. There should be some guardian on them. So guardian over these workers are the senses. Senses, the hawas, are the guardians of the organs, which are known to be the workers and functionaries of this government. Then all these senses, they guide and they control the workers and functionaries, the organs. That's why whatever any sin takes place, it begins with the eyes, because eyes are the original workers. Or the ears. And they are controlled by the senses. And the one who directs the senses and controls them, that director or that controller, that is the conception which I told you. That is the conception. Conception itself is not able to differentiate between right and wrong. It again needs some guardian, some head to differentiate between right and wrong. And the director working in that conception is the thinking. That is the thinking which is fikr, which is sometimes fikr, which is sometimes a khayal, which is sometimes khatra, thinking, which becomes sometimes niyyah, which becomes sometimes irada, motive, then becomes intention. Step further. If it comes and goes, went on, keeps on coming and going, it remains khatra. This is a term of tasawwuf and suluk. Keeps on coming and going. And if it resides, does not come and go. That was the time when you are supposed to cleanse yourself, when you are supposed to get rid of that khatra, that danger. That was the time when you are supposed to control yourself, when you are supposed to discipline yourself, to protect. That was the time when you are supposed to control yourself, when you are supposed to discipline yourself, to protect yourself, to safeguard yourself. When your enemy was coming and going, khatra. But since we didn't control at that time, we didn't close the door, we didn't throw that enemy out of our house of our thought, we didn't throw it out, we didn't stop it coming, we didn't notice it, we didn't safeguard ourselves, we didn't speak to our Shaykh, we didn't speak to our medical consultant, we didn't speak to our murabbi, we didn't speak to any specialist, that here is a thing which is constantly coming and going, always, every day it comes, this khayal, a wrong thought, a wrong idea always comes as a flash and goes away, comes in my mind and goes away, comes in my mind and goes away. That is the proper time to control, proper time to save yourself, and proper time to protect yourself. And we never take notice at that time. We always remain very relaxed. So by frequent visits, when it keeps on coming and it is not stopped, through frequent visits, then it is converted into himma. It is converted into himma. And it gets a position in your mind. It gets a station in your mind. It gets a house of residing place in your mind. But that is still temporary. It is still not permanent. It is living there as a tenant. It has not become the owner of the house. You can still dislocate it straight away as the first step of his act. Does a person commits the sin? Or this sin, before it is committed, undergoes through a process in various stages. Definitely it undergoes a process in various stages. The first stage is known as al-khatra. And in suluk and tasawwuf and ma'rifah, these are khatarat. And waswasa, these are different from where it is coming and where it is coming. There are different names for various. I'm not going into much technical depth. So that is the proper time to stop, to fall under the influence of that khatra. You know, the people in general common language say there is a danger. So the best way, the best policy is to stop the danger, to protect yourself from the danger. Instead of just putting yourself to a position to face the danger. That is better, or it is better just to protect yourself from danger. It is much easier, but we never protect it. We never protect ourselves at that stage when it was easy to protect. Then it becomes himma. It becomes full-fledged concept. It becomes full-fledged thought. It becomes an idea, a concept, a view. It starts living in your mind as a tenant. Still you can get rid of it, but now it is a bit difficult. As compared to that time when it was not residing in here, when it was just coming, visiting. So the visiting idea is khatra and residing idea is himma. The visiting one is khatra and residing one is himma. You didn't take care of that even. You didn't take care. You remained relaxed. Then it went on, various other thoughts went on supporting, and it went on gaining strength and power. Then it became niyya. When it becomes niyya, then it becomes the influential basis of any action which is going to be performed. Then it becomes difficult to root it out. And even niyya does not become an act. Then again there is a distance between the end of niyya and act. And there is something in between niyya and act, and that is irada, intention. Then the niyya is converted into intention. And when it becomes an intention, it is just about to perform the thing. It is about to become an act. And only then you perform the act. So all these senses, those who are controlling the organs, and all these senses which are sending informations, and perception is converting into conception. At this place, from khatara to himma, from himma to irada, from irada, himma to niyya, and from niyya to irada, and from irada to fail. Then comes fail or amal. Khatara is the first stage, then is himma, then is niyya, then is irada, and then is fail or amal. These were the 5 stages. So they control, this position controls the perceptions and conceptions. That was the thinking which I said. This is the whole process of thinking. The spiritual process, how the thinking takes place. And how thinking starts and where does it end. It starts from a thought, khatra, and ends into an act, commission of act. So this thinking is again controlled by intellect. This is controlled by intellect. And intellect, as I told, is the prime minister or chief advisor to the king. And the chief advisor is Ruh. Ruh is Sultan and deputy of Almighty Allah. And as I have already explained, the opposite authority, the opponent, the opposition leader is the nafs. And nafs is also getting a foreign aid, because nafs is the one who intrigues, who create conspiracies and intrigues to capture the heart and to dislocate the influence of ruh. So nafs is getting an external support, external aid from an external power, and that external power is known as shaitan, iblis. Shaitan is always sending his armies and supports to nafs so that he may win the battle between nafs and ruh. This devil, shaitan, is the external supporter and helper of nafs. When we talk of this nafs, since it starts, the ruh is trying to convert the nature of nafs. Ruh, the king, knows that this is the person who will do intrigues and conspiracies against me, and who will try to corrupt the whole system, and who will try to capture the capital. So Ruh wants to change the nature of nafs under its own influence. The nafs, which originally is ashqa and ammara. Originally the nafs is the commanding nafs, which Almighty Allah has stated, inna nafsa la'ammaratum bisu. Somebody may ask, then why this evil organ, this authority, this thing was created? Just I told you, Almighty Allah has given us a democratic system in the body, so that intellect and you may choose either of the two, the right or wrong. You may become responsible for your act, and you may be awarded or rewarded. You would be responsible for the consequences of your acts. And this nafs, the ammara, does not, there is an early stage of ammara, of nafs, when it becomes commanding, strong, then it starts commanding to evil. Then it starts to take the person, because it has corporeal nature, vegetal nature, and it always commands the person to the worldly pleasures, sexual passions, and worldly attractions, commands to the evil and other blameworthy traits and habits and conduct. But the nafs does not become ammara as the first stage. In the beginning, it is makkara, an-nafsul makkara. This is deceiving nafs. It is not so strong to command towards evil. In the beginning, it starts from deceiving, from deception, deceit. Starts from putting wrong ideas, wrong wishes, wrong thoughts, supporting khatra. It starts with deceiving you. Even if you are worshipping, you are doing an act of piety, and you are intending to worship and do this particular act of piety, and you are concentrating on a particular act, and through your concentration you want a continuity in your specific pious act, and this continuity will guarantee your advancement. So what this nafs, when it is makkara, a deceiving nafs, what this nafs will do, if straight away this nafs commands you and says, leave this act of piety and come to this evil act, come to this sin, come to this wrong act. If the nafs feels that this person is quite sensible, strong, he is not ready to accept directly my wrong command, he may reject it. If the nafs is strong and the person is weak, then it is ammara. If the person is strong in piety and nafs is weak, then it is makkara. Then it works through deceiving. Then what it will do? It will not command for the evil act. It will not directly ask you to leave this act of piety and go towards the wrong act. No, it will give a deception. It will say, no, this is a good act, nice to do. But if you want sawab, if you want more prayer of Almighty Allah, that other act of hajj or jihad or doing any other pilgrimage or particular act of piety is higher in status, and you will get more sawab and rewards from that. So he will detract your concentration. He will create a confusion in your mind. He will snatch concentration from you. You will be neither here nor there. Now you will be confused minded, whether should I do this or should I go to that particular pious? Should I do tilawat of Holy Quran or should I read Darood Sharif? Should I go to the Hajj and Umrah or Ziyarah of any saint or the Al-Hidayah camp, or should I give this money for charity for the poor people, 200 pounds? So the deceiving nafs creates a confusion in your mind and make you indecisive by disturbing the concentration. Sometimes the deceiving nafs puts riya into your mind. So sometimes it works through deception, some deceiving, sometimes it works through commanding. If it deceives, it is an-nafsul makkara. If it commands, and it is strong enough to command, then it is an-nafsul ammara. And nafsul ammara is the one which fights with ruh. If the ruh is strong, influential, and intellect is strong, and quite cooperative with ruh, and having quite good understanding, and sound and profound knowledge, wisdom, ilm, al-ilmu nafi', intellect. Because intellect is the advisor. That's why it is stated that Imam Malik said, Man tasawwafa walam yatafaqqah faqad tazandaq. وَمَنْ تَفَقَّهَ وَلَمْ يَتَفَقَّهْ فَقَدْ تَفَسَّقَ وَمَنْ جَمَعَ بَيْنَهُمَا فَقَدْ تَحَقَّقَ. Those who want to become worshippers, those who want to become very strong worshippers, those who want to indulge themselves in act of piety, act of worship, act of cleansing the nafs, but they do not achieve the proper, sound and profound ilm of deen, al-fiqh, al-fahm, al-marifa of ahkamuddin. They are ignorant of deen, knowledge. They remain illiterate as lots of so-called claimant of tasawwuf and Sufis, those who claim to be Sufis, but they do not possess the deep, real, true knowledge of deen and sharia and fiqh. And they are away from the sound knowledge of deen and fiqh, the sound knowledge of Quran and Sunnah. They are jahil. Al-abid al-jahil. He is a worshipper, abid, but he is jahil. He does not possess the nur of ilm. The nur of ilm which was spreaded by Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Because the whole process of purification of nafs, the process of cleansing, the process of purification, the process of spiritual advancement, Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam started from Iqra. Bismi rabbikal ladhi khalaq. It was started from knowledge. It was started with Yatlu alaykum ayatina. He recites the ayat, our verses unto you. وَيُزَكِّيكُمْ وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. So he starts from the knowledge of Quran. Then he purifies the nufus. Then at the same time, he provides you the deep knowledge of Kitab al-Quran and knowledge of as-Sunnah and al-Hikmah and al-Fiqh and al-Ma'rifah. وَيُعَلِّمُكُمْ مَا لَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْلَمُونَ. And then asrar and secrets. So the process which Holy Prophet ﷺ gave to Ummah, both things go side by side. They were never detached. So those who were ulama ul batin, the ulama of batin, the specialists in tazkiyah, the specialist in ihsan, the specialist in tasawwuf, the specialist in tariqah, the specialist in marifah, they at the same time were great scholars of Quran and Sunnah and al-Fiqh and of Sharia. Sharia was never detached from tariqah, and tariqah was never detached from Sharia. Neither of the two was isolated. They always remained together. And those who put both things together, they achieve the truth and reality. And Imam Malik said, those who just want to achieve the blessings of tasawwuf and they remain detached from the knowledge of fiqhuddin, they will go astray. They will be misguided. And those who just want the knowledge of al-fiqh, ilmu zahir, ilmu ahkam ad-din, ilmu ahkam al-sharia, but they detach the ilm of sharia from ilm of tariqah and tasawwuf, the knowledge of purification, and ilmul batin. They detach. They just want to concentrate on ilm of zahir, on the Quranic verses and ulum of fiqh and ulum of sharia and ilm al-zahir. And they do not believe, this is what Imam Malik said, and they do not believe in tasawwuf and suluk and tariqah and the knowledge of purification of heart and the knowledge of purification of nafs and mind and soul. They remain disconnected with tasawwuf. He said they will become fasiq. Only those will achieve the haqq, the truth and reality, those who combine the both things together. There is a great danger for both. Those, the claimant of tasawwuf, mutasawwifin, those who claim to be Sufis, but they are away from the knowledge of Sharia, they are in a great danger. Because when shaitan will attack on them, when nafs will attack on them, they have not read anything. What are the methodologies of your enemy, of the nafs? What does nafs makkara, what he can do to you? What a nafs ammara can do to you? Which are various directions and directions of attacking on you? And which are the ways and methodologies and techniques how a nafs can detract from you from the right path? What are the policies of shaitan? Which are the fitnas of dunya? You are unaware of these realities which have been told by Sharia. Where lies halal, where is haram, and where is shubhat? How you have to achieve the taqwa and zuhud and wara. You have never gone through these realities. You lack the knowledge. So these kind of peers and jahil Sufis and the claimant of gaddis and the claimant of these piris and the tasawwuf, they will go astray and they will misguide their followers and murid too. And on the other hand, there are hundreds and thousands of scholars in this world who claim to be the followers of Quran and Sunnah. But this Quran says, وَيُدِلُّ بِهِ كَثِيرًا وَيَهْدِي بِهِ كَثِيرًا. There are lot many people who are being misguided through Quran because they are deprived of of benefiting from the Quran. Quran is a rain of blessings, of ilm, of marifah, of secret. But it's the same rain comes to a land, falls on a land which has been properly cultivated and the seeds have been sown into it, and there's a proper gardener looking after it, then that land will be able to get benefit of this rain. Then the flowers will come out. Then the fruit will come out. Beautiful plants will come out. Then you will get benefit of it. And if the same rains showers on a piece of land which is full of dirt, which is not purified, which has not been cleaned, and no gardener has cultivated it, and no seed of love of Almighty Allah has been sown into it, no seed of ta'ah of Allah and marifah of Allah has been sown into it, no seed of taqwa and wara and zuhud has been sown into it, it has not been purified. Qad khaba man dassaha. It has not been purified. And the same rain showers on that piece of land, it will create hundreds of diseases and illnesses and infections. So those who just want to become the followers of the ulum zahiriya, Quran and Sunnah, and they talk of imams, and they talk of fiqh, and they talk of the books, and they are against Sufiya, the protectors of qulub, the protectors of arwah, the protectors of the purification of heart and purification of soul, those who are specialists of the purification and cleansing of heart and soul and spirit. And those who do not get the ma'rifah and the knowledge from them, then ilm zahir will detract them and they will again be misguided. And nafs ammara and nafs makkara will detract them. So when spirit influences on nafs, and nafs get rid of the characteristics of this ammara and makkara, so it is upgraded to the stage of blaming nafs. Blaming nafs is a nafsul lawwama. Again, if nafsul lawwama is upgraded towards piety and gets more influenced, here is the matter of who is influencing and who is being influenced. Because the heart has to take the side of the one who has become stronger, who is the stronger one. Whether heart will go to the spirit or heart will go to the nafs. If nafs itself goes to spirit, then heart will definitely go to the spirit. So the whole control would be of the spirit, of the king. So if it is further upgraded towards ruh, the nafsul lawwama, if it becomes nafsul lawwama, then it starts receiving the revelations, ilhamat, the good thoughts, good ideas, pious ideas are revealed into it. Alhamaha fujuraha wa taqwaha. It starts differentiating between right and wrong. Then it becomes nafs al-mulhama. Because some say al-mulhama because revelation, it receives the revelation. And some says mulhima, that it gives the revelation and thoughts and ideas. And then this nafs mulama is upgraded up to nafs mutma'inna. Mulama is inspired nafs, the inspired soul. Then it is further upgraded and accepts more influence of ruh, the spirit, more influence of spirit.